got a t-shirt with bloodstains all over it. Maybe laundry isn't your biggest problem right now.
I remember the day the candle shop burned down. Everybody just stood around and sang happy birthday.
And a security guard came over and said, "You're gonna have to move. You're blocking the fire exit." As though if there was a fire, I wasn't gonna run.
You make love to the right woman, Johnny, is beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, "What's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?"
I never learn, you know, like a waitress will bring my meal. "Hey, enjoy your meal, you too!" But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do eat, enjoy it when you eat it. If you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked, a podcast with Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon, two comedians who know how to take a drink and have a thought. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy. Now, whether they're ready or not, here's your hosts, Leonard and Nick.
Hello and welcome to Comedy Think Tanked podcast. I'm Nick Gordon with Leonard Kimball here at the Craft Brew Underground.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty
how are you
good.
doing, Nick?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. We're recording here at the Craft Brew Underground, and like many other podcasts we listen to, Mike has allowed us to come into his basement back room. I love this room.
Yeah, it's a great room. This is a great room for comedy.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, you can feel the comedy, you can feel the funny oozing out of the walls.
And yeah, it's not coming from us. I mean, it's from the walls.
It's like a scene from Ghostbusters 2 or something.
Yeah, there's slime coming out of the walls. Yeah. Okay.
So, you know what would be great is if we had our own comedy club someday.
Yeah, it's definitely needed. That's something that we've been thinking about it a while. Dennis Price mentioned it when we were interviewing him, and
yeah.
It'd be great to have our own room and settle down someplace where we can sort of foster a comedy scene and book comedians from all over the place. And I don't know. I mean, what is it gonna take to do that sort of thing?
I don't know. I feel like as we've gone through this process of being local amateur stand-up comedians, we've learned a lot, that a lot of the ins and outs of it. We've produced our own shows. We've talked to other restaurant and bar owners and different things, and other comedians that have been around longer and that have had experience. Which, by the way, our guests today, Tuck Tucker and Johnny Ater, they were active when the Comedy Connection, the actual stand-up comedy club that was in Portland, Maine, some years ago, was in its full swing. We've had opportunities to have those conversations and such, and we have the want for it, and the area does need it. But what does it really take? Like, do you think you're a good enough businessman to to
Even with the danger of putting this out there on the internet, no, I don't know what it takes. I mean, I guess we can agree that it probably takes some partnership with an existing bar and restaurant. It takes some partnership with some place that's already selling food, already has a space.
Yeah.
And because it's not like we can just take over a building, or take over some store space and say it's only comedy.
Maybe we can, but at the same time,
well, you got to pay rent, you got to do insurance, and you got to actually be able to keep the lights on. and there won't be comedy there 7 nights a week, right? I mean, but no
I don't
paid
know.
comedy 7 nights a week.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a good question.
Right.
Like, how does it actually work? Maybe what we need to do is take a field trip to like New York City or something when everything's back full swing, and just do the rounds and see how these comedy clubs actually work. And,
let's just go there and take over some place.
well, I mean, we could do that.
This is ours now.
Do you know who we are? I highly doubt that that's going to fly in a
River
court
Comics, bitches.
in a court of law. I think we might get struck down.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not a lawyer, so who knows? Excuse me. I feel like if I go through the rest of my life and I don't actually run my own venue, it will be a tragedy.
Oh,
I really, really, really would love to run my own venue. So
I don't think you have to worry about that. I think like when you're on your deathbed, or I'm at your funeral, I promise to carry your body to some place and and put a pen in your hand and sign.
You think you're gonna outlive me?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. It could all end
I'm
tomorrow.
trying to help you out and sign your name on a lease.
Oh, please do.
Yeah. Sign your corpse's name on a lease. You're welcome.
If I ever come into some money, I'm definitely gonna leave it to whatever comedy club there is.
Yeah, I thought about if I won $1 million or something like that, I'd want to help out our local Auburn Suburban baseball, softball, because that'd be really cool to play. Throw some money and fix up some fields and get a bunch of equipment and have my name on one of the fields. But at the same time, hey, I want a comedy club too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be hard. I would love for my kids to go to college, but at the same time, I'd love a little bit more to have a comedy club.
Sorry, kids. Can you? Can you get a little bit better at basketball?
Yeah, please, because I can't afford this. I don't know. It's it'd be nice if someone that we're friendly with just opened one up and had a comedy club that we could just hang out at all the time and help them with and such. But I don't know. I don't foresee one actually happening anytime soon. Obviously, we're in the middle of COVID, and it's still at this pandemic. Numbers are on the rise again here in April. It's hard. I
get it. I think it really is it's us finding a well-established restaurant or bar with food that has a backspace that's willing to have us put a sign on there. Says it's the Punch Hole.
Yeah,
this is the Punch Hole Comedy Club. Yeah. We do shows here 4 times a month, 8 times a month, or whatever, and we just have.
I was thinking 4 times a week.
Yeah, 4 times a week. Well, we got to start off slow, and get our feet underneath ourselves. But it's going to take some partnership with an established business that's going to help foster it, and because there needs to be food and drink available, and someone with a liquor license, that sort of thing.
Speaking of which, I performed once at a venue that had those popcorn machines where you just self-serve popcorn.
Oh yeah.
And I always thought to myself, what a stupid snack to have at a comedy club. Little inhalable pieces of food. The only thing more worse than that would be peanuts.
Would be what?
Peanuts.
Peanuts. Okay.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, food and drink is definitely necessary. Obviously, comedy and alcohol go together. I don't know what, but salt and pepper.
Like peas and carrots.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know what the hell that was.
That was from
Forrest Gump. But the impression.
Oh, I was doing Forrest Gump.
I'm just kidding.
That was my perfect Forrest Gump impression.
Perfect. I don't know if it was perfect.
I don't know. Perfect for a podcast.
Perfect for a podcast. Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good slogan.
Perfect for a podcast.
We should get that domain name.
Yeah, this is where Mark gives us lots of shit. we buy domain names like they're candy. Perfect for a podcast.com.
I love
we got Nick and Leonard by domains.com. Nick and Leonard have $12 to spare on GoDaddy.com.
So therefore, we're not very good businessmen.
Yeah, so if someone else could help us, that would be great. Some restaurant with some business skills could help us out.
Any angel investors out there who want to help build a comedy club in the in the either Lewiston, Auburn, or Portland, Maine area, I mean, you know where to find us.
Yeah, be great.
Or maybe you don't.
Maybe you don't.
But find us.
These
We'd love
yahoos?
to partner up and do that.
Absolutely.
Speaking of businessmen, Tuck Tucker and Johnny Ater. Tuck runs
Running with Scissors.
Running with Scissors, the improv group. I'm sure he has a real job as well. You know, obviously he's a stand-up comedian of some renown. He's been around for 15 plus years. Johnny as well, who has his own painting business over in the Bath, Maine area. If you need anything painted,
Bucket Art.
He's a
BucketArt.com.
Yeah,
right.
that's AHT.
You're right.
I actually I feel like I need to buy some art as soon as I have a couple extra bucks kicking around.
Yeah,
help him out there. Oh man, those two guys like together, what a treat to have a conversation with them. And
it was really great. I had no idea how long they've been working together.
Yeah.
So to hear the stories they had was like you said a real treat. It was great.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen them, back in the day before I started performing comedy. I feel like I had seen them at the Comedy Connection in different places performing. I can't be sure, but I'm sure I have, but yeah, it was nice to sit there in Johnny's basement, Airbnb, and have a conversation about the thing that we all enjoy, stand-up comedy. So yeah, without we always say without further ado.
I was gonna.
Is there another?
I was like trying to think of something to say other than that. I was like, oh, let's not say that.
Let's not say further ado.
No, you said it now. Now we got.
Damn it! Now we got to
edit it out.
Now we edit that part out.
And now with that, thank you guys very much for listening. Here are Johnny Ater and Tuck Tucker.
Welcome to Comedy Think Tank Podcast with I'm Nick Gordon, Leonard Kimball. We're here with Johnny Friggin Ater and Tuck Harold Tuck Tucker. Sure. I'm not sure which goes where. Are those your real names? But
so Johnny,
yeah.
Oh, okay, so we got Tuck. Just so everyone knows whose voice is who. Tuck, how are you?
Good. This is Tuck.
This is Tuck.
This is Johnny Friggin Ater. How you doing?
Yeah, excellent.
All right.
Good to see everybody.
That's a good intro right there.
Don't see everybody,
Perfect.
but
all right. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for having
catch you
us.
guys next episode.
Yep. Thanks.
all right. Great. That was awesome. Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Can you Venmo me my money? Yeah. Oh, we're getting paid?
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure.
Oh, well, I am. Yeah. So Tuck and I, when we do shows sometimes together, sometimes he'll say, "How much did you make?
What you getting paid?
What did you make?
Hey man,
and what you make?" And
He'll go,
I'll always say, I'll sort of know what he got, and I'll always double what I'm making.
Do you remember?
He's like, "You freaking kidding me?
So
you kidding me?"
We did a show. In not a Gunquit, but one of the Wells. We did a show in Wells one time, and I wrote Johnny a check for the show, and I folded it in half, and we were having dinner before the show, and I gave it to him. And so comics always want to know the money, right? You got to know what I'm getting paid. And I don't think I told him what he was getting paid, or I knew he would look at the check. So what happened? I was waiting for him to look at the check.
And it was like $1 million.
I wrote him a check for $1 million. And we're sitting there eating, and I know he's going to look at it, but he was trying to be like nice, like I hand him the check and he's going to like look at it like real quick. So we're just eating it, and then I see him go for it. Like maybe 5 minutes later, I'm like, here, I know he's going to look for it. He pulls it out and he just goes, $1 million.
That was fun.
I'm like, don't cash that.
That's gonna bounce.
Yeah, I've given out cash to comedians before, and they just sort of like they take the little handshake and they just like and they just say thank you, and then they walk off. It's like it could be a 5 wrapped in wrapped in some toilet paper, and a 10 wrapped in some toilet paper or whatever.
But I guarantee every comic walks away and then goes around a corner and counts.
As soon as they get out in the car. So I always count it when I'm in the car.
Yeah, man, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
The problem we've had though when producing shows is sometimes Leonard will hand out money and he'll hand out like the headliner's money to the opener, And so we've had to chase people down before and say,
Right.
hold on, that's actually not yours.
No, I did that one time.
Yeah.
A quick story. Zenobia Del Mar headlined a show for us at Baxter, and she was really great. She did an awesome job, and I handed her a wad of money. I had a couple other people wads of money, and she was like, "Hey, so you said you were gonna give me a certain amount." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's for you and Chris Kembeck." It's like, okay, and she walked off. And a few minutes later, she's back. Yeah, this doesn't seem like how much you said you were gonna. I'm like, oh, how much did I give you? And she was like, yeah, this is like $40. I'm like, oh, my fault. I'm so sorry. So I ended up giving like a huge wad of cash to somebody else who opened the show, and
it's gone.
No. I did find it, but
it all worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out. I was like, oh, sorry, dude, I gave you the wrong.
Yeah.
So now it's a running joke about even when we're doing shows now, when we're paying people by Venmo, it's still it's like, how much are you doing? Are you sure you didn't hit extra 3 zeros?
Yeah. I've accidentally Venmo people too much money, and I told Nick, like, oh fuck, sorry.
We only have so much capital here.
Love Zenobia so much, but I cannot imagine the amount of shit she would have given me online.
Yeah. Now, are you guys actually doing good? I mean, with the River Comics, I mean, is it, you got like a bank account? And stuff?
Yeah, we have like tens of dollars in a bank account.
We've managed to pull together a couple dollars. Nothing to write home about, but
that's good though.
Stamps
it's a start.
are expensive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
I did.
Okay,
that was nice.
All right, I'm sure the audience.
Let's talk about comedy, not money, because no one's gonna get rich off of this.
No,
there's no Jerry Seinfeld here. You guys talk about performing together. I think that's how I met you. Was probably together, right?
Probably.
You guys perform together a lot.
I've performed with Johnny more than any other comic, for sure.
Really?
How many times did you say?
I was actually thinking about this because I knew we were doing this podcast, and I was at home going, I wonder how many shows Johnny and I figured we've been doing it 15 to 17 years.
I started in 2003. So that's been...
So I started before you.
Yeah, you were a year ahead.
I've been doing it 17 years.
Like 18.
18 oh my
18
God.
Years. I've been like 17.
So I figure on average, maybe 5 shows a year together.
Oh, more than that. More than that, for sure. More than that, I think, Doc.
I'm going to guess somewhere between 75 and 100 and something.
Yeah.
Probably shows together.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them have been absolute friggin' great shows, and others have been absolute horrible.
They've been.
We could go down the list.
So we've had some really interesting shows, like the show we did at Johnson Hall. So this was funny. Johnny's headlining, and it was me. And I can't remember. Nelly. So Nelly gets on stage and the lights go out. The whole place goes dark. There's no electricity. Right?
I think it was a thunderstorm.
So somebody in a car had hit a telephone pole.
Oh, that's right.
And it knocked the power out to the building. So they're like, no, we can keep doing the show. And they have like 2 or 3 people in the back of the room holding flashlights.
Oh my God.
So I get up, Nelly gets up, I do my time, and then we introduce Johnny. He gets on, and all of a sudden the lights go on. And we're like, what the heck? Like, we're like, Johnny, you did this on purpose. Like, yeah, we work in the dark under flashlights, and then Johnny gets on, and the lights go on. But that was...
Johnson Hall's that's like a long shot too from the back, so the flashlights probably didn't do anything.
This is when it was different. It was sideways.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it was
actually,
sideways.
It was actually used to be sideways, so the like the gallery seats, the bleacher seats,
that was the back
was still
row.
there.
Okay,
but it was actually sideways, so. It was really awesome.
It wasn't that bad.
No, it was pretty awesome. I mean, there were tables up, in the middle on the floor, and then the bleacher seats. But I mean, packed houses.
I want to ask Johnny what he thinks the worst show that he and I ever did.
Oh man,
I'm wondering if you're going to say the one that I'm going to say.
Okay, I know what it is. It's the old folks' home.
Yes, no, not the old folks' home.
Well,
I've never done an old folks' home.
Well, I did. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but it's freaking horrible. But no, wasn't it the retirement home that we did and the golf course?
The golf course.
Right.
Yeah, the golf course
And
one was the
both of us-
absolute worst.
Yeah, both of us got like 0 laughs.
No, it was like the
It was
Edward Little 1962
That's right.
class reunion.
Right.
And it was at a golf course.
That's right.
And
It was
the woman had seen me. I had opened up for Mark Turcotte's comedy workshop.
Yeah.
And the woman was in the audience and she was like, "Oh, I think it would be great if you would come and perform for us." And I tried to tell her, "No, I don't think it's you don't, I don't think it's a good fit." And she's like, "No, I really think it would be a lot of fun." And geez, we got there. And I mean, it was pretty laughs. And I was on stage. Johnny was, I was headlining. So you went first.
Yeah, right. I went first.
And I was just off to the side. I could see Johnny looking at me like, just like, what?
I'm like,
what is happening?
My best jokes had just fallen flat.
Yeah, it was.
And they were just like, and it was, but so didn't we do some internet, some like take home jokes
So
at the end?
at the end, so I think we had to do like 30 minutes. It was no time. And I think we were going to split it 15 and 15. I think Johnny, you did 15 or close to it.
Right.
And
I
then
didn't bail.
I did like 10.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to bring Johnny back up and we're going to do street jokes. And we did like 2 or 3 minutes of street jokes and we started to get some laughs.
They loved it. They loved it.
And then we
Just
realized you got to know your
just
audience.
been all street jokes.
We should have written all street jokes. We should have gone there and just did 30 minutes of just street jokes like Johnny Carson, Bob Hope.
Yeah. It was really, it was crazy.
See, that's frustrating to hear because when I've seen you guys perform together and separately so many times, and every single time I know what you're about to say.
Right.
I've seen you so many times, and I'm still laughing.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know,
that's good
so
to hear.
it's really frustrating to hear that another audience doesn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, but you're right. You do need to know your audience.
It was just a generational thing.
I think it was.
And it was like a afternoon
It was
show.
in the afternoon. Till.
And it was just
That made a big
weird
difference.
and awkward. And the other thing that happens at those type of shows, and this might have happened at this one, is that they think that the comedy is a surprise. We're going to surprise people with comedy, and that is the absolute
horrible.
worst. If you guys are getting booked, make sure that whoever's hiring does not say, "Oh, this is going to be a surprise. No one knows that we're doing comedy."
Right.
And so we're going to bring you up because you have to have people in a mindset to watch it. And
have you guys ever done that? You guys been to a show where there was going to be a surprise?
I feel like every time we show up and do comedy,
every time we're at a bar, we're like, "Oh yeah, we're doing comedy. Oh, what's going on?"
Right. Yeah.
Even an established venue, air quotes there. It seems like everyone in the audience is like, "Oh, you're doing what now? You're going to do comedy?" Because we don't have a set club. Like when we go down to Craft Brew Underground with Mark, it's people are there. They bought tickets.
Exactly.
And how good is it?
It's always great.
It's awesome.
It's always good.
Yeah.
That does make a difference.
Yeah.
I did a show for Reed and Reed one time. Before that, I had done this Christmas show for them, and they knew I was coming. They knew it was going to be comedy, and it went really good. But then, then he had me do an employee show once, and it was pretty good money, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. It was like in the middle of the afternoon in Augusta and there was probably 150 employees there, but they didn't know I was going to be doing comedy.
Man.
And it was absolute. And Mark opened, and he got 0, and I got 0 laughs. I mean, it was just like not 0, but it was tough.
Yeah.
Do you remember that show we did at the Sable Oaks Marriott for Pepsi?
No.
It was you and I showed up. It was just you and I, and they were the Pepsi distributors for like Maine or something. And I got up first and you were headlining, and they did that to us. The guy came over and he's like, "Oh, this is going to be great. Nobody here knows you guys are here." And I was just like, as soon as he said it, I was like, fuck. And I got up and they weren't listening. There was guys in the back talking at the table.
Yes.
And I went off on them. I started going, "Guys, shut up. I'm like, you can heckle me and you can talk through my shit. I said, but the next guy coming up is funny and you need to listen. And I tried to.
Yeah, it was, and you really set it up really good.
I was pissed.
I remember that.
I was so pissed.
I tell you, that's as somebody that's open, and we've opened for each other. I mean, I'm not always and he's not always the headliner, but it's to be able to, when you're opening, set the tone. Because that was so, and he did it that day. I remember that day.
Yeah.
It was like, man, you set the table up perfect.
Yeah.
Because remember you went out into the audience and you were chasing that guy down?
Yeah.
you chase somebody down?
I'm sure I did. Yeah. I was really upset with these people, and it came to the point where I was just started shitting on them, being like, "You guys fucking just." There was a group of guys in the back that didn't give a shit. They were drinking, they were drunk,
right?
And I was going from table to table, just like ripping into people, like,
yeah. Why are you talking? Why are you talking?
And the president, and the president's wife.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, what about the CFO's wife down at?
Oh no!
So we're doing this show down at the.
I'm imagining these people are not listeners of the show, so I think this is fine, right?
Oh my god!
So we were at Kennebec Tavern.
We won't tell who it was. Kennebec Tavern, yeah. So Tuck's up there and he's looking at this woman, and you're giving her all kinds of shit, and she's getting pissed off, and I wasn't in the room. This is a real important lesson for somebody that's just starting out. Always be in the room so you can hear what's going on.
Sure, yeah.
I wasn't in the room, and so Tuck's ripping into this woman, and I go up, and all of a sudden I start ripping into her. And I was just like, really like ripping. We were just, how
it wasn't ripping into her like super mean. It was just like mean. It was like the crowd work teasing, just kind of like, oh, you're married to him. I don't know.
But it was just, and she was getting more pissed and more pissed. So that was the last show we did for them.
Was there something like significant about her, or like why did you?
Yeah, I think it was a male-dominated room. And she was actually a fairly attractive woman right up front,
right? Who
kind of had a little bit of an attitude of like, I think she even, so it's like if you're doing your set and then somebody says something at the end of your punch she was kind of vocal a little bit. I think from what I remember, she was vocal. She was saying stuff,
right?
Dude, you know how it is. If you're vocal in the audience, comics are going to start in on
right.
her.
Yes,
and so I think we both just started in on her.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that bad.
No, I don't think it was that.
I don't think she liked being the focus of attention.
Right.
But
why do you think that is? That comedians have the need to turn to that person? Is it something that we have internally, or is it something that?
I just think it's because you need to address if that person says something. If you don't address it, it's odd. It's just awkward. If you don't say something to the woman or the guy that's in the audience, talking or whatever, it's distracting for the audience. So you got to address it. I mean, I think you have to.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't say she was heckling, but I think it's almost a version of heckling when someone's talking and kind of being vocal through it. And hecklers are part of comedy. They're part of being a stand-up comic. So you kind of learn how to deal with them. And part of it might be just to feel out and be like, is this person just having a moment where they're talking, they're going to quiet down, or is this going to be a rambling through my entire set? And how am I going to deal with this? So it's kind of like feeling them out, and then kind of figure out where you want to go from there.
Remember George Hamm's come back to hecklers. He goes, I don't come to your job and knock the fries out of your hands.
Yeah.
or come to your job and knock the cock out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's the best one I ever heard.
I don't come down the corner you work on and knock the dicks out of your mouth.
I'm pretty sure it was George that said it. It was at the Comedy Connection, actually.
Yeah.
So you guys had performed at the Comedy Connection, right? The one in Portland?
Yeah. That's where we both started.
I'm sure I saw you guys there many years ago.
Yeah.
Great.
You missed that place, right?
Oh my God.
It was so
I miss
good.
it so much.
There was a lot of politics that went along with that place though too.
Yeah.
But you just deal with it.
Yeah.
You just try not to get too involved in it. And I remember one night when I was first starting, I was hosting, and I got to feature one night, and I think I got 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was doing pretty good. And it was because I was working my way up. You know, I hosted for like 5 years. I mean, I was the host.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which was good. I mean, I think
it was hard. It was hard to get the next step. It was hard to become a feature.
Yeah.
There. And so you hosted for a long time until they felt like, because you needed 20, 25 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes to be the feature.
Yeah.
And when we started, we had 5-10 minutes. That's all we had.
Okay.
And so, and we would go to Sarah Daring, the booker, and be like, I think I'm ready to feature. And she'd be like,
she would just look at you and go,
you're not ready
there's
to
no
feature,
way.
buddy.
No
She's
way
like,
you're
keep
featuring.
hosting. You're lucky. She'd be like, you're lucky to be hosting.
That she
Keep
did.
hosting.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So anyway, so that one night, this guy Rich, who was, I think Rich took over for Sarah, or he was just in charge of, you know, the comics basically, keeping them corralled. So he'd go. So one night I'm doing, and I didn't bring him watch with me, which I still don't do very much, but I went over on my time. It was like by like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think I was at like 20. The friggin' mic went off. Okay. He had turned the mic off.
Wow.
And I was like, what the fuck happened? And so I put the mic down and kept going. I just kept going. And I get
Hell
off
with this
stage. He
shit.
goes, what the frig are you doing? He says, you went way over on your time.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that we learned early on.
that was, I think, the best thing that we learned about comedy and professional comedy was do not. I mean, it was the number one rule they drilled into you as a new comic was do not go over your time. Don't go 5 seconds over your time. You have 3 minutes and you're lucky to have the 3 minutes. Do it, because sometimes they would bring the headliner in and he would host like the Thursday night open mic. Yeah. And there might be 7 comics. And every once in a while, somebody they've got 3 or 4 minutes and they do 7 or 8. And then they would be like, now you have to go to the headliner who closes out with 20 or 30 minutes on a Thursday night. You have to go tell him he has to cut his set by 8 minutes.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was just a professional thing. They would say, you got your 5 minutes and that was it. And so when these other rooms would open up and we would see people I'd be like, how much time do I have? Just go up there and have fun.
Right.
But the problem is you got 15 guys on an open mic somewhere and the guy that booked it is letting everybody just do whatever they want. It's chaos.
It is chaos.
So other than like having to go to the headliner and saying, "Oh, sorry, I went over my time, so now you have less time."
Yeah.
Would the bookers then say something to you?
You wouldn't get booked.
Right. You just wouldn't get booked again.
You wouldn't get booked again, or you'd get blackballed for a while. You might get the next 3 or 4 weeks off, and you wouldn't get time again.
Yeah, they wouldn't call you. You know, you'd call in, say, I got some availability. Yeah. They wouldn't call you, and then they'd say, okay, well, there's nothing available for you right now.
Wow.
And you knew what it was, but it sucked.
The other thing so sometimes you'd take the bullet, you'd be the first one. So they would say, hey, you'd get booked. You knew what night you were getting booked. And then you would show up and they would have the running order on the wall. And a lot of times guys would come in and they'd be first. They'd be taking the bullet. Okay. And they would go to Sarah or somebody and be like, any way I can not be first, not take the bullet.
I tell you.
And they would get pissed at that. They'd be like, no, you're taking the bullet and you should be happy that you're even on the show.
But I tell you that taking the bullet was actually good though, because it said to them, they trust that the first guy should be really pretty good.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, but I tell you what, I took the bullet for 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, 4 or 5 years.
Easily, yeah.
Easily. And, but I tell you, it made me stronger. It really did. Because I had to go out cold and just kind of.
And even more important than that, like the hosting that they let us do, hosting was the biggest value of anything that we did starting out, to be able to have a regular gig as a host, because you're going up cold and it's your job to set the tone for the show, bring a little energy to the show. And your other goal is to make the feature and the headliner look good. Right. Like transition them in well, keep the show running. If you know the feature just bombed, which happened, you might have to go up and do another minute or two in between them and the headliner. But if the feature just killed, you might only go up and not do as much time. You
Well,
want to
just
keep
don't
that
do
way.
any jokes.
Don't do anything. Just keep that energy rolling and say, okay, now we got the headliner.
Now you're headliner.
So,
But a lot of that was just not being selfish too. I mean, you had to kind of judge, okay, all right, I got to make a decision here whether I'm going to go up and do more time but that was later on down the road too. I mean, you had to get to that point where it was, you were almost a feature, but you really weren't yet. But it was, but I tell you, I wanted to feature before I was ready. And I'm so glad I didn't.
Yeah.
Because feature it's the toughest spot, if you ask me. The middle guy is the toughest. When you got 3
I think
comics.
it's the easiest.
Yeah. I think it's,
personally,
for me, it was tough. Maybe for you because you're so friggin' awesome.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I think you're just awesome.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it was the easiest because to start the show, for me, this is just me. The host has to take the bullet, has to get the room set up. If the host bombs, the feature gets to look good because he followed someone along. If the host kills, that's great. You get to ride that wave. And then you're only doing like 20, 25 minutes of your premium shit. And then the headliner goes up and has to do 45. I think for you, what's different is that I think you started headlining really before I did. I think you had more experience headlining. I think you have more experience headlining than me. I've always been really comfortable in that.
Well, maybe
in that middle spot.
Yeah. But maybe I'm just awesome then. I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying. I don't know. But no,
hey,
you know one thing.
awesome.
One thing about Tuck and I, though, I got to tell you, we've always been. We've always had this sort of a little bit of competitive.
No, I don't think so.
No, yes, we have.
No,
we have.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I said no.
And you're about to fight right now.
No, we're not. No, but we always, but it's been a real friendly, competitive thing. I mean, it's not, and we've always been like, hey, do you want a headline? Go ahead. I mean, I'm not, or do you want to, you want to open or whatever. And we've done a ton of shows together. So
I worked with you guys at Pat's Pizza in Yarmouth one time. Several years ago.
Yeah.
Nelly was there as well.
Right,
and I just said, can I have a spot? And so you guys let me do. But I think I remember you guys fighting about like who's going to go last. Oh, really? I was like, Jesus Christ! Like, isn't this set up before? No, that's a great education. Having an actual comedy club that was run by people running a business, not comedians. Because that's the problem we have now. Is it's a bunch of comedians running these rooms. Yeah. And we're showing up. We just want to do time.
But
and
it's awesome.
There's no one saying, well, it's great to have.
I have so much respect for you guys that will just go and set up a room and start doing it.
But it's the Wild West. There's no one controlling what's actually happening.
I think it's really good to have some structure, though.
Yeah.
I really do. Like say, okay, this is what your time is. You're doing 10. You're doing 12 or 15 or whatever. I think 12 minutes is kind of like, it's a weird number. Just say 15 for God's sake.
Your internal clock is not set to 12 minutes.
I know. Right. It's like a little bit over 10 minutes. Okay, well, maybe I can say that joke. Yeah. But I tell you, it's really, when I went down and did that 5-minute set at Bruno's the other night, it was really freaking hard to do 5 minutes.
I was thinking that watching you, I was like, there's no way he's going to stop at 5. Well, he can't do it.
I tell you what, you know why I did? Because because of that discipline I had.
Yeah.
Because you said I had 5 minutes. I didn't want to take anybody's time.
Right? Yeah.
Because I knew there was Mike Gray, there was a bunch of other people there.
It's a respect thing.
It's a respect thing. It really is.
Yeah. No, that's something a lot of people do need to learn.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just, because you really are taking time. If there's a lot of amount of time for comedy that night.
We worked with a woman at the Comedy Connection. She was funny. And do you know who I'm talking about?
Joanne.
Yep. Yeah. He knows exactly what I'm about to say. So we were all. It was a showcase, and we were all given like 5 to 7 minutes. And she goes, I'm doing like 15. And we were like, what? She goes, I don't fucking care. She's like, I'm going to do like 15. And she got up there and did 15 minutes and just blew through her time. And that was the last time I ever saw her.
Yeah.
That was the last time I ever saw her.
Yeah, it's the last time we saw her. But remember the night she was bombing Tuck? And we were sitting in the back, and she was opening for Molly and everything.
Yeah.
I remember, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But it happens to everybody. But it was brutal. It was brutal. I'm not going to say her last name, but
Yeah.
I would be.
Don't worry, no one listens to this.
No.
It's okay.
You never know. This could be out there big someday.
I know we're gonna put this on the internet, but the internet's gonna go away soon. Don't worry
Right, it
about
is.
Don't worry about
What are they going to replace it with?
I don't know the outer web,
The outer web. Oh, outer net.
outer net.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a ton of those stories. I'm sure you guys are developing your own stories right now. But
Well, I mean, it's cool to hear you guys talk about these stories when you say like, oh, I did this for 4 or 5 years. I'm only 3 years into doing
Right.
comedy myself, and so it's like I'm not anywhere near featuring or headlining anything. I've got like an okay 15 minutes. I've got maybe a good 8 minutes, but like,
see, that's for where you're at, 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure at 3 years I had a solid 15 yet.
no, I don't think I did.
I don't
either.
think I did. I
I
mean,
didn't.
that's,
No.
I feel like the comics now are, I don't know why, but they seem to accelerate. Like they get their time. Like I remember newer comics now being like, yeah, I got like 25. I'm like 25. I'm like, I barely got 25 now. I've been doing this.
But you know,
for 18
okay,
years.
you could say you got 25, but is it
Is it good?
Is it
a
good quality 25 minutes?
Right.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I literally probably have, after 17, 18 years of doing this, I probably got a pretty good tight 45 minutes.
I think for me, I probably have a tight 35. Like I'm solid at 35. If I have to get to 45, I can do it.
Right.
No problem.
No, yeah.
But I've got to pull out every last morsel, everything I've written, and look
Right.
at it
Yeah.
and practice it. Like 45 to 50 isn't that easy
Right.
or comfortable for
Well,
me.
you're getting into the stuff that you used to open with and stuff.
Part of the problem is that the club closed and there was no place to work stuff out.
Right.
And I still find like I have a hard time working new material out because there's no place to, like I did a show at Craft Brew Underground recently and I just did all new stuff.
right.
Oh,
Or
sorry,
old,
I missed that.
or old stuff. Yeah, and it went well. And part of it was my attitude of like, I don't care. I'm going to go have fun. And I think that's 90% of comedy. Like if you're having fun and just confident in the way you're delivering it, the people get on board with you. And I think that was most of it. But I did really old stuff I hadn't done in years, like over 10 years. And I wrote some new stuff and tried it. And I mean, it wasn't bad. And
Did you bring notes with you?
yeah. So I had the whole, I always have my set in my back pocket, but I try not to pull it out.
Yeah.
Cause again, another rule that was don't bring your notes up on stage with you. It looks really unprofessional.
That was
So
when
I always try to not bring my notes on stage, but so I had my notes in my back pocket for that, but it was it was all new material and such a new order. I got like 3 minutes into my set and I was like, pulled it out. I threw it on the stool. I was like, I got to look at it because I don't know what I'm doing right now.
I've done it a couple times, but it's like I do when I have it there. I use it as a crutch because it's like I'm not making myself remember them.
Right.
So I keep on turning to it, and it's like it
So
just doesn't feel. Can't get the flow.
We know comics that could not get away from their notes.
Okay.
They had to bring their notes on stage and put them on the stool, and they couldn't.
No,
they couldn't do a set without their notes.
And the problem is people saw it. The people saw you.
Oh, it's obvious.
So like the first time I knew it was a big problem was Jimmy Dunn out of Boston. He was the headliner, and he was also, it was a Thursday night showcase, and there's like 7 comics, and he hosts, and then he does like 20, 25 at the end, 30, whatever. And he was pissed. He's like, everyone's bringing their notes up.
Yeah.
He's like, man, this is unprofessional. And he was
on stage saying this?
No, he was off stage. When a comic would come off stage, because so at the old Comedy Connection, we would all stand at the door that went into the room. If you were next to go on, you would open the door and you'd stand there. And usually the host or the headliner was standing right next to you, waiting for this guy to finish.
Okay.
And once he finished,
making sure you were there.
and then if he would be like, "You're next," yeah, I'm next, I'm Tuck, blah blah blah, whatever. But man, that whole night, I was standing next to that door, and he was like, "Man," he's like, all you guys have your notes? He's like, man, it just doesn't look professional. He goes, it just doesn't look good if you have to bring your notes up there, you know? And if it was on a weekend, if it was a Friday or Saturday night where it was the big shows.
It was a big no.
No, it wasn't going to happen. Yeah. Okay. So I've always tried to keep my notes in my back pocket and only pull them out if I just completely draw a blank. But
I was hosting a show the other day, and I went up and I touched the mic, and as soon as I touched it, I forgot everything that was in my head.
It happens.
God, yeah.
I was like, what? Actually, it was the first night at Bruno's, I think.
Yeah.
As soon as I touched it, I was like, yeah, this is not good.
I found myself when I'd go blank like that, I'd probably use this as a question, but I'll go into the audience a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
And then as I'm in the audience, it will come back.
Yep.
But
once you start talking and where you get that first laugh, it's
Right.
then it's I know what I'm doing.
I saw a comic once go blank, and they would they go, "Would you mind if I read a poem?" And everyone goes, the audience goes, "Yeah, that'd be great." And they pull their notes out and they go, "Thank you." And then they put their notes back. And I was like, that's pretty smart.
That's slick.
I gotta remember that. That's a good one.
I was like, that's pretty smart. That's a good one.
Tuck, do you find with your improv background that you have an easier time going into the crowd or riffing on stuff and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I did improv well before I did stand-up.
Okay.
So I was doing improv, I don't know how many years before I started stand-up, but it was probably 5, 6, 7 years. And I had been doing shows, kind of regular shows at some venues. So I was kind of comfortable being up on a stage in front of people. So I took to get into stand-up, I took a stand-up workshop with Tim Farrell, and it was out of the Comedy Connection. So he had an in with the Comedy Connection. They let him do his workshops out of there. Yeah. So we were being groomed right on that stage that we were going to be performing on, which was awesome.
So nice.
And then he could use us as hosts. So if you were halfway decent through the workshop, you knew Tim might, give you the host time. But so I feel like I had an edge kind of going into stand-up where I was comfortable. And the improv helped with learning how to do the crowd work.
Right.
So I was comfortable talking to people, asking them questions, kind of getting into it and thinking just off the top of my head, kind of out of the box. So yeah, definitely helped.
And a lot of your...
It still does. I mean, I still do a lot of improv and it still helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to say though that Tuck is one of the best improvers I've ever seen. Him and Dennis Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen him do improv?
I probably have. And we're going to see him.
Leonard.
I took Tuck's improv.
Oh, you did? Okay.
A couple years ago.
Yeah. But just so good. I mean, I tell you, I love comedy, but I tell you, watching improv, it's something about it. It just.
But Johnny was like, I loved it because Johnny likes improv so much that Running with Scissors, my improv group, we used to headline the Comedy Connection once in a while.
Oh, wow.
And Johnny would come to the shows, and it was awesome. And I think we had you feature for us.
I think so, yeah. I'd feature. And
so we'd like to have Johnny as a feature.
Well, and then I'd come join in a game sometimes,
That's fun.
But
awesome.
My problem is with improv is I'm always thinking ahead and you can't.
Right.
You got to just, and then saying yes to everything. And so
I took one actually with Tim Farrell. I took an improv class and then the group of us performed once at Bull Feeney's. And I was like, that's it. I've done it. Everyone's like, you got to try it.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everyone.
So I've always said that when improv is going bad, it's the worst thing you'll ever see on stage. No, it's way worse. Like if somebody's bombing with stand-up, it's actually can be kind of funny still.
Right.
Sure,
you all have that groan and you're like, this is so, let's see how much of a fire this becomes.
All the comics, right? All the comics are out back laughing.
But with improv, man, if improv's going bad, it is the absolute worst thing for the audience and it's the worst thing for the improvers. There's nothing worse. And I understand why people hate improv. I do. I mean, I'm an improver, but I understand why people are like, and I understand what there's a lot of stand-ups that fucking hate improvers and hate improv. And I mean, I kind of get it, Because if you've seen bad improv, you don't ever want to see it again. You're just like,
Well, I tell you, those shows at the Comedy Connection when you guys were at Headline,
we had some great shows.
It was fantastic.
Great shows.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So
If you surprise an audience with improv, does it go better than if you surprise them with stand up?
Probably worse. Probably worse. Probably worse.
I can see
Come
that
on,
being worse.
give me a profession. Give me a profession. Come on.
I'm doing what is it? Exactly. And that's what's so like, I wish there were better ask fors. Like, can we have a non-geographical location, please? What did you have for breakfast? Give me a fruit. Give me a color. I mean, it's kind of corny. I get it, you know, but when it's going well, it's so much fun.
Oh my God, it's just unreal. But you know, I tell you, one of the things about stand up is when I first started, I was like, you know, geez, I felt I'm getting pretty good at this. Until you see a real headliner.
Right.
You know, or somebody that's really strong feature guy.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, I got work to do.
It humbles you quick.
It really
Very
humbles you because you're like, okay.
It's a different level and you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like I've seen some guys from New York come in, some guys from Boston come in, and your jaw drops. You're like, whoa, they're on a completely different level.
Locally, you know, George Hamm when he was working but Bob Marley, like you know, you watch some and you're like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like how is this possible?
Yeah.
You know?
Marley's the guy that I feel like he can take any subject, anything, and make it funny. And then George Hamm, I think, is one of the most talented stand-ups I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like crowd work,
Yep.
connecting with an audience, and just destroying. But he was one of the most insecure comics I've ever met prior to a show. I was doing a fundraiser with him one time at Coney High School.
Yeah.
It was Kelly McFarland had set it up.
Yeah.
And she was doing some time. I was featuring, George was headlining, and we're behind the curtain. I'm about to go on.
Yeah.
And he's like, Tuck, would you switch with me?
Jesus.
He goes, would you want a headline? He goes, I'll feature. He was that nervous that he was going to bomb.
Wow.
And I was like, I am no way going to follow you, dude. You're going to crush. No. You're going to kill George. You always do. You're going to destroy the room. I'm not going to let you go out and me follow you. Like, it's not going to happen, but that's how insecure he was.
Wow.
But he was unbelievable. I saw him crush so many times. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. And George and I, we all did a bunch of shows with George. George would have us open a feature for him. You know, he'd have these big rooms, and we'd be like, "Oh, you know, you get to open for George." It was like a big deal, you know. And but you're talking 300 or 400 people. You know, it's like, oh, this is Elks Clubs. You know, where everybody's coming out to see George.
Yeah, yeah.
And but he was definitely one of my mentors. You know, but you know, he would just, you know, he'd ride down with him. You know, all this stuff about, you know, I don't know why I'm doing this. But then he'd go in and just slay the room.
Wow.
Yeah. And but you know, his crowd work was just unreal.
One of the last times I saw him perform was at the Maine Comedy Festival, and he destroyed that room.
Yeah.
I mean, and he pulled out all the old stuff too. Like he used to do a bit about wrestling.
Yeah. Chief J Strongbow.
Yeah, and he did.
Remember that one?
I don't remember specifically,
God.
but
so
he
good.
had what was the Jeopardy? GED Jeopardy.
Jeopardy GED.
Jeopardy GED with like all the questions are, you know, GED level.
That's funny.
It was brilliant. I mean, to this day, one of the most brilliant jokes.
Yeah. And then the guy down at the festival with the halo, he put the chair over his head.
Yeah, he put the stool over his head. Like it was like he had been in a neck brace.
Yes, I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean,
one.
he's just.
But you know, every one of his. One of my favorite jokes of George's where he says, "I think I'm gay." This, you know, because I went to the Christmas tree shop the other day. I think I'm gay. It's not because I was at the Christmas tree shop. It's because I was jerking off a guy in aisle 3. And was like, oh my God, just one of the best freaking written jokes.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there going, and he was one of those guys, like you said about, and which you gave me a great compliment, was that every time I watched him, I loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, but George had that likability. He just had that, you just a likable, you know, don't you think, Tuck?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, and I think Molly's got it too, but
yeah.
you know, just real likable.
Yeah, I would love an opportunity to work with Bob someday, man. But if George ever was to do stuff again, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I know.
To see,
just incredible
him come back. But you guys mentioned the Maine Comedy Festival. Obviously, you know we haven't had it in over a year, but talk about that because I know you both have been there. And,
yeah, Ian Harvey put it together. Who I've known Ian since I was in high school.
Oh,
and then I hadn't seen him in years. I bumped into him and he's like, yeah, I'm doing comedy. And I was like, what? And then I happened to take the workshop that he had taken. And then we started hanging out at the Comedy Connection a lot. And then Johnny took the workshop and Johnny kind of got all looped in. We kind of became close friends. But yeah, Ian put that together and really did a great job. And I think the first year I did it, there was a Fortune Feimster. Was the headline.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know Fortune Feimster?
Yeah.
I tell you what, talk about slaying a room.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It was like, oh, wow, okay.
Recently, just had a Netflix special come out.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So Fortune Feimster, Jessica Carson. Jessica Carson, New York comic. She's Margaret Cho's been there.
Wow.
And then the guy, I don't know, this guy was like a YouTube star, but he did.
Liam. Remember Kelly's Shoes? I don't know if you remember.
Kelly's
Shoes?
Batch. Or he's like, he did the cupcakes.
Yeah.
Glass cupcake. Fire cupcake. We're aging ourselves.
No, but it was when YouTube was first.
Yeah.
But he became, a millionaire, I think, from YouTube. What was his name? Liam. So I can't remember his last name.
Either.
That's funny.
Anyway, but I did the, every year up there. It was just fantastic. And I got, that's where I really started, headlining and stuff like that. So it's just, and it's really a great time. You go up and hang out with comics all weekend. It's really a good time. If it ever happens again, you guys will have to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually went up and watched one of the shows a couple years ago. I can't remember who was there off the top of my head now, but it was impressive. But is the format? I mean, you look at the website. There's pictures of people golfing and whatnot. I mean, what's the format?
Yeah. Well, the format. The first couple of years there was a scramble, and so people that were there could join up for the scramble, and then you would get paired up with a comic or some comics.
Oh, okay.
And go out and play.
Nice.
And then they had Kelly McFarland driving around like heckling you with a bullhorn and stuff. Wow. That was kind of fun. But I think that part of it went away.
Yeah, kind of. It just evolved. I mean, it kind of got, then in the middle, it sort of kind of got a little, we were doing like a comedy camp type thing where you'd have, we did a couple of years of that where we just have like a comedy camp and go out. We'd like camp counselor and stuff like that. And we go out to this big swimming hole.
Yeah.
And, but the best part about it is after the shows, you got into the Millbrook Tavern and you'd sit there and you'd shoot the shit with everybody at the end of the show and just, I got roasted one night from I don't know, Will Green was there and he goes, so he was roasting me because of my faces.
Yeah.
And he goes, "This is Johnny's set list," and he wrote down a bunch of faces. He goes, "This is," but they roasted me after a set one night. But it was great time.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, good. Definitely want to do it though. If you guys can, get up there. I think you have to submit.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think I submitted once, a couple 3-4 years ago when I probably shouldn't have been submitting.
Never hurts though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just
some of the comics are really good. Yeah. Some are just okay.
No, I've seen crickets in that room.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some comics that have not done well there.
Right.
Yeah.
So when was the last time it's been put on? Because
it was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago now. Yeah.
Yep.
So
friggin' COVID.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. How far have you guys gone? Here, like I think your website, which I didn't even realize you guys had websites. So this has
Is
been
mine
really
still up?
informative.
Yeah,
looked at it.
Is it still up?
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
No
both
way.
of your
Is this mine?
But yours is up too, Johnny, and I think it said something about you did a club in San Francisco, and
Well, I went out to visit my buddy Ian,
Mhm.
and he was headlining at the Punchline in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he had me open for him.
how did your Maine humor translate?
You know what? I didn't realize that it was like the gay night. And I was like, I just did my stuff.
Yeah.
And it went over okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't, I didn't kill by any means.
Yeah.
And the audience, there was probably 50 people there. But it was, it was neat to go back in the green room and see Robin Williams. I got to Robin Williams, signature on the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
All these signatures of all these big comics.
Yeah.
And just neat to be there, to actually be at the Punchline.
Yeah, sure.
And because I remember seeing it on TV, and stuff. And
I had a job interview recently, and they said, as a warm-up question, they asked if you could go on vacation right now, what would you do? And I said, honestly, I think the right answer is I'd go to a beach somewhere, Caribbean, da, da, da. I said, actually, I'd like to just go to like New York City or LA and just visit all the comedy clubs I can.
Right.
And they're
awesome.
like, what the hell kind of answer is that?
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It shows
I thought
you're passionate about something.
I thought
You're
I'd get
into
the job, but I
something.
didn't.
Yeah.
So.
one thing. One thing I noticed from the comics that used to come up to the comedy festival, a lot of New York and Boston comics,
Yeah.
and these guys have to fight for
Yeah.
7 minutes.
Yep.
And some guys would go do 5 or 6 clubs a night and do 5-7 minutes each
Right.
time. But they'd have to, Maine comics got it pretty good because
Right.
you got comics up here that can do 15. They were doing 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and these guys down there, which are really good comics,
Yeah.
most of them, and they could only do 5 to 7.
Yeah.
And that like tight. I mean, just like you keep it to 5 to 7 or you're done.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
That's
It was pretty interesting to see.
You hear that a lot about the big city comedy scene. Is it's tough to break into that. And
really
I keep thinking
is.
to myself, like, it'd be really neat to go get an opportunity to go, even just do an open mic, but you're probably not going to get it unless you're.
Tuck, you remember Robbie Slowick? Did you remember him?
Robbie Slowick.
Robbie Slowick. God, he was funny. God, funny as hell.
No.
Yeah.
Where was he out of?
New York.
No.
New York. Yeah.
I don't know if we've warned you guys about a segment we do on the podcast called "Curse the Darkness," but there's a Chinese proverb that goes like, "I'd rather light a candle than curse the darkness." So it means like I'd rather like do something about the problems than just sit around and bitch about them.
Right. Yeah.
But what we'd like for you guys to do is actually curse the darkness instead. So are there things that you guys can complain about or talk about that you don't have any plans on fixing?
It's funny.
Oh my God.
As far as comedy, you mean?
anything at all. This is open topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Open topic. I think most of it's personal stuff that I want to just say, about working too much. I'd be like, just like,
Johnny Ater's a fixer though.
huh?
You've been sober for how many years?
33.
33 years this man's been sober. He knows how to light a candle in the darkness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tuck, that's
Right?
that's very poetic.
No, I mean, I've never done I don't have that kind of willpower. I think
it's
anybody
not
that's
willpower. It's
or
not
sober,
willpower.
well, what?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Again, I don't know about.
No,
I
it's
don't know, but
definitely not.
I'm always been impressed
Yeah.
with your sobriety. So one thing that I'm not going to fix is his sobriety.
No.
But if you ever want to have a drink,
Oh, I know. I can't
Don't-
fix my wife when she complains to me.
That's true.
I can't. I woke up cranky this morning, and she was at me, and I was like, you know what? Accept it and move on.
Yeah.
Is
Is that your philosophy in life? Just
pretty much acceptance, radical acceptance. Radical acceptance.
Yeah.
Radical acceptance, saying, okay, you know what? Nothing I can do about this.
yeah.
And that's been a tough one to learn. It really has.
Did you
but
develop it yourself, or did someone help you? get to
somebody?
the-
I've had help over the years
Yeah.
from many people.
Yeah.
Many people helping me. But as an addict and alcoholic, one of our first inclination is to, overdo. And
Sure.
I definitely am an overdoer.
do you think that your sobriety, your alcoholism, and all that has helped you in comedy? Like, do you know how they always say like comic stand-ups are like messed up people?
Yeah,
Like we all have a ton of problems.
Right.
Like,
That's a good question.
Do you know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you think that you,
Yeah, I
if
think
you weren't an alcoholic sober this many years, would you still kind of go down this path? And
I think
do you have a need for acceptance? Do you
I
have
do.
a
I
hole
still
in your soul that you're trying to fill.
no,
with
I
laughter?
completely agree with that. I really do.
I do. I'd say it right now.
A need for acceptance for people to like me.
For sure.
I love it when I want people to like me, and when they don't, it bothers me.
Yep.
But and I try to make them like me.
Yeah, I'm the exact
So
same
that's
way.
definitely one of my character. I don't know if it's a character defect or not, but it's one of my character traits.
Yeah.
That I definitely want acceptance from people. I want people to like me. I want
Yeah.
So and growing up with 6 kids in my family, I was in the middle child, so I had to fight for attention.
Yeah.
And so it was. I definitely think that's in an abusive household too. So that was kind of a, So that's all definitely part of it. Definitely part of it. So
Yeah, I always wanted to do comedy ever since I was a teenager, but it wasn't until my marriage was failing that I finally said, you know
Really?
what, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that
it
thing that
definitely
pushed
comes
you
from a
in.
It was
place
the
of
trigger.
pain. I think.
Yeah.
It really,
Interesting.
it's weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of comes from something inside you. That,
So Leonard,
yeah.
what
the
made
fuck's
you
wrong
want to
with
get
you?
into like? Had you always wanted to do it? Was it like what's your thing? Like why?
Well, I felt like the sort of high and the rush of getting people to laugh like at dinner time, like making a funny comment about something like that.
Yeah.
This was like years ago. Before I never thought about actually performing for
Yeah.
people. So like when I saw the posting for Don's stand-up comedy class,
Yeah.
I thought like, oh, that's cool. I thought I'll just go and take a class and learn about comedy, but I never thought I'd actually do it. But now
Right.
it's such a rush.
Yeah,
It's
and you're
something-
good at it. Like,
Oh.
Yeah,
you're,
you are
real-
good at
you're
it.
really good at it. Like you were you're one of those guys that came out of those workshops that you were like, oh, he's like a natural. Like,
Yeah. Right. No, I
like
agree.
the writing's
I
good,
agree.
and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you guys have taken it to another level too by starting the River Comics and
Yeah.
do you guys find that is it sort of a good thing or a bad thing that you guys have done the River Comics and producing shows and
I mean, initially when we first started talking about it, I was thinking this is a good opportunity for us to create stage time because it was hard to
Right.
get
Yeah.
some sort of stage time,
yeah
down in Portland or we were just getting to know Mark and,
Yeah.
so whatever he had going. And, like I said, with you guys and Pat's Pizza, like I just reached out at random and just begging for a spot
Yeah.
almost. And so when we started talking about it, I was like, let's just find a spot where we can do our comedy
Right on.
and we'll have other people and we'll get to know them and whatnot. So it's been a blessing and a curse because now it's become a little bit of a business and we're trying to, be professional and, get
Right.
people involved and
Right.
reaching out to other spots. Like, I texted, emailed, and called 15 different places in Waterville last week and, crickets. So
Yeah,
it's like a real frustrating thing. It's like, man, I wish. So now we're thinking someday just opening up our own goddamn club. And
well I
That'd be
tell you
awesome.
what that would be now that's something that I think would talk about you got enough cattle to get the people in comics to really
for sure.
That's always been a thing since the Comedy
And
Connection
it
closed.
will work.
Yeah.
I mean, we know a comedy club will work in Portland, and it works really well.
Yeah.
It's just got to be
It's got to be in
set up
Portland
right.
though
Yeah.
either Portland
the
or
only.
Lewiston.
And here's one of the reasons why it worked before is that it was actually probably losing money. The club was, but it was attached to Boone's and the Porthole
Porthole,
yeah.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The restaurant made all the money.
Yeah.
Right.
So drinks and food for the club came from the money, came from the restaurant. Because the owner always said, no, the club doesn't make me money. The restaurant and the outside deck in the summers makes me the money to be able to run this.
Well, they're paying a headliner $1,200 for a weekend.
Yeah.
And it's what the place hold 200.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and it had to be packed.
Yep.
And sell a lot of drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a definitely a tricky. There's not a lot of margin in there for
Right.
profit.
They got some of my money, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to plug before we shut her down, or is? I know there's not a whole lot going on these days, but
CBU May 1st.
CBU May 1st.
Yeah. I'm at CBU May something.
Yep.
Maybe May 8th
Well, you're at
or May
Donahue's,
15th.
right?
No, I'm there on the 15th. I'm at Donahue's. When's this going to air?
Yeah,
June?
probably not before that. But yeah.
So wait, are you guys going to be at Donahue's?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's us. Yeah.
So who's on the show? How's it going?
It's three of us.
I know it's Brian Plum.
Yeah.
Brian Plum, you, Dennis.
Okay.
Dennis Price?
I think it's
No,
just
Dennis
us.
Hunt.
Dennis Hunt.
We're gonna do.
Dennis Hunt,
We're gonna
right,
do
yeah.
improv.
Oh, now I feel bad. Now I gotta edit this. Now it's gonna be like burp 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 burp. burp. And when I edit in the names,
We could just say people can go to the website.
people can go to therivercomics.com.
Yeah, or maineventcomedy.com and see what's going on at Craft Brew Underground.
I know. So one day when we do open the Punch Hole Comedy Club,
So we're gonna call
Punch
it.
hole.
Punch hole.
we would love to have you guys.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny to hear you guys talk about comedians that you looked up to, who you thought like, oh, that person was awesome, and like, but like honestly, like Nick and I look up to you guys in that same way, and we're like, oh, Johnny and Tuck, they're just so fucking fantastic.
Well,
Thanks, man.
Well, we used to feel the same way about the other guys too, and it was like, and that makes me a little uncomfortable to tell you the truth.
Honestly,
Sorry.
I'm not as motive. Like, I'm impressed with what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
To go out and just open up a random room somewhere and to do podcasts and to just jump in both feet into comedy is like so respectful. And it's just great, man. It's like you guys are keeping it alive so that I can do it.
Right. No,
because I'm working your
agree.
rooms. You're giving me time. Like, I respect you guys so much for doing it, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah, and Mark too. Mark Turcotte.
Yeah,
Mark.
Mark.
Just like
Yeah.
God,
I mean,
just Craft Brew Underground. I probably wouldn't have done any shows. I've done
Right.
4 or 5 in the last. Then you got Bruno's opening up, and then the Donahue's, and I think it's going to be. Hopefully we can ease back in, and I'm really aching to do a 200-person room.
I know.
Oh man,
I know.
I would love to do that.
We'll find one and we'll let you guys know as soon as we do.
Man.
Oh, for sure.
As soon as someone lets us do it.
I would because there's nothing like it. Getting the crowd going. That's never seen me before. It doesn't know all my jokes.
Even if they do, they'll be laughing.
You think there's one out there? Tom? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you guys. You guys are
Tuck
great.
Tucker and Johnny Ater. And,
Really great having you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. That was Tuck Tucker and Johnny Friggin Ater.
Love it. Two veteran Maine comedians right there, Johnny Ater and Tuck Tucker. What a treat to have the two of them together with us.
Yeah, 100%. Those are a couple of funny guys we love to watch perform. We love to talk comedy and talk about life with them as well.
Maybe we'll be those guys someday, imparting the comedy wisdom on the up-and-comers. Or maybe by then we'll have invented a pill for being funny.
Thanks to everyone who listened. Tell your friends and follow Comedy Think Tank wherever you can. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Comedy Think Tanked, Twitter at Comedy Tanked, and our website, comedythinktanked.com. Email us at comedythinktanked@gmail.com. Good day.
Theme music was written and produced by a minor, Ralph Birgfeld. No comedians were hurt in the production of this podcast. All audio snippets of actual funny punchlines were not written or performed by any of us or our subsidiaries. Rather, they are express written bits of professionals we admire. Let the civil actions be filed. Any opinion heard, actual or implied, is that of the Comedy Think Tank producers and their guests. Any slight, insult, affront, slur, disparaging remark, snub, rebuff, rejection, or spurning, no matter how derogatory, pejorative, or abusive you may feel it is, was not intended, but for comedic, entertaining purposes only. Thanks for listening.
Thanks to everyone who listened. Tell your friends and follow Comedy Think Tank wherever you can. Please be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Oh, fuck. I was so impressed by the fact that I said tanked.
I know.
And then I was like, wherever you can.
Let's leave this in.